This is Sean McClure with BJPen.com, and I am here talking to the CEO of the Hip Hop Chess Federation, Adisa Banjoko. Adisa, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on the show. Much love to everybody at BJPen.com.
Let's just kick it off, man. Let's talk about the program you've got going on, and let's talk about how you've really capitalized and focused on the parallels of jiu-jitsu and chess. Talk about that a little bit for the listeners of BJPen.com.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the Hip Hop Chess Federation is an organization that's been around for about 5 years now. It's based out here in the Bay Area, and it's one, if you know anything about jiu-jitsu or MMA, you know that the Bay Area is one of the hotbeds. I think that the Bay is one of the best places in the world to train jiu-jitsu. We're very lucky. We have so many amazing schools out here, so many amazing instructors, and the culture here is just great. The Hip Hop Chess Federation, what we do is we fuse music, chess, and martial arts to promote unity, strategy, and nonviolence. We do several different kinds of things, including, from celebrity chess events to like the RZA, different Wu-Tang dudes, different rappers, MCs, etc., to outreach in poor areas where we teach kids about chess and how chess and life is how those themes overlap. And we also do a lot of stuff where we talk about how chess and jiu-jitsu overlap and to kind of strive to have that body-mind balance. And so that's pretty much what we do, man. That's what we do here, and it's worked really well. Our organization's been covered in a lot of places. We have a lot of YouTube clips, and it's a beautiful thing to be sharing how chess and jiu-jitsu are connected, because as I've always said, is that chess is jiu-jitsu for the mind, and jiu-jitsu is chess for the body. I mean, that's really kind of how I see both of those arts.
Well, Adisa, talk to me a little bit about your background, because I know for a fact that you've got a martial arts background and that you've trained with some well-known people. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I was lucky, man. I started many moons ago, although, I'm a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, and I've trained off and on for a very long time. I actually started way back at House Gracie's in Mountain View. That was the same time that Dave Camarillo was there as a blue belt. BJ Penn was a white belt. There were a lot of people there. J.D. Penn was training. I remember when Reagan first started training. And a lot of savages came out of that time. Kurt Osiander. Kurt came a little later, though. He was a purple belt. I remember he showed up I think he had just gotten back from Brazil, but, Luke Stewart, you know what I mean? But Luke came once House kind of opened up the San Francisco school. And so, I've trained off and on for a really long time. I love jiu-jitsu. I was one of the first writers for On the Mat. I used to write for Valley Tudo News back in the day. Before it was MMA, it was Valley Tudo, And so I was lucky enough to interview Grandmaster Helio Gracie and Royce back in the days when he was fighting in the UFC. And I've been covering jiu-jitsu for a really long time. So, my love for jiu-jitsu is very genuine. Not too long ago, I wrote a free ebook online. It's called The Iron Hook Scroll, and it's about a technique that I've kind of innovated that helps make the overhook grip from the closed guard tighter, and a series of attacks from it that keep you safe on the bottom, whether you're doing gi-less or MMA.
Well, speaking of books, Adisa, talk to us about Lyrical Swords.
Yeah, Lyrical Swords was a book I wrote a long time ago. I actually have two books out in the Lyrical Swords series. 2006, I dropped Lyrical Swords Volume 2, West Side Rebellion. That's the first book that I really kind of talked about the connection between chess and jiu-jitsu. And I was lucky enough around that time to talk with like Grandmaster Maurice Ashley. Later on, I ended up becoming friends with Josh Waitzkin. He just got his black belt from Marcelo Garcia. And so he had already seen a lot of these themes between martial arts and chess in his book, The Art of Learning, which is the official book of our org. But Lyrical Swords kind of is probably the book that first starts putting those themes together. You can get it on Amazon and stuff like that. And of course, I have Lyrical Swords. Hip Hop and Politics in the Mix, which was like the first book that I put out. And, you know, those books, you know, they got a lot of different people, and everybody from Africa Bambaataa, who's basically the godfather of hip hop, to a ton of different other MCs like Slick Rick and Jizza and a ton of other people. So, you know, this isn't something that I just made up out of the blue to try to be cool or be funny or whatever. This is something I've been researching for a really long time, and I've seen jiu-jitsu improve a lot of kids' lives. And I'm hoping to expand my jiu-jitsu program so that, you know, because the biggest problem is, I mean, it's just like in Brazil, a lot of kids can't afford jiu-jitsu because it costs so much. You know, and so like right now, a good friend of mine has helped me to get some gis for some kids who want to start training jiu-jitsu. And I'm looking to try to figure out how to develop that program more intensely, you know, so that kids can have gis and I can train them regularly or send them to different places to be trained. Because like Kurt Osiander is a great friend of our organization, Heroes Martial Arts in San Jose, that's where I train, great friend of our org. Denny Procopos, 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, fantastic friend of our organization. And so, you know, it's great, man. It's great. A lot of support out here from the jiu-jitsu community in the Bay.
I'm not going to lie to you. I became a huge fan, you know, of your writing from reading your blogs and stuff, and I became a really big fan of Josh Waitzkin after searching for Bobby Fischer. How did you and Josh actually hook up, man? How did you guys meet?
Well, you know, it's funny, man. Josh and I have become, you know, really good friends, and I appreciate him as like a friend and a mentor on so many levels. But what essentially happened was I was trying to interview him for Lyrical Sword Volume 2. At the tail end of 2005, and I was sending him emails, and I was sending him, emails and stuff, and I was like, hey, you know, I'm doing this book, you know, I'd really like to talk to you about the connection between martial arts and chess, and see if you're into it, you know, whatever. But at that time, he was, you know, a lot of people may or may not know, he's a world champion, 2-time world champion in Tai Chi Chuan, and so I guess he had just gotten back from China. So once when the book dropped, he was like, hey, can I still be in your book? I know it's been a long time. I wasn't trying to avoid you. And notice, he didn't know me from anybody. Like, we didn't have any, you know, in-between friends or anything. I was just reaching out and hoping. And he was like, but, you know, stuff sounds interesting. I'd like to talk to you. So we started talking, and it turned out he was into jiu-jitsu, had been training a while, and he was dropping his book, The Art of Learning. So me and him hit it off really quickly, and that was around the time that he was finishing up his last version of the Ubisoft game Chessmaster. And Ubisoft is based here in San Francisco. So he came out here, we hung out, you know, we vibed, he vibed with my family and my kids, and he's always been a great supporter and a great advisor for the organization. I'm incredibly grateful to him for a lot of wisdom.
You know, Josh is a great guy. You've got a lot of good things going on. So I have to ask, you know, a lot of MMA fighters I know play chess. I know I talked to Rich Franklin, a friend of mine. He plays chess. Do you have any intentions of maybe a crossover, maybe chess match between MMA guys and chess guys? Maybe rap guys, you know?
Well, I'll tell you what, and here's something that's funny. I've been trying to do that for many years, but, you know, when our org started, you know, tail end 2006, early 2007, one of the problems that we had was the economy collapsed, and it got really hard to do stuff. To be perfectly honest, though, one of the first people to support us from the MMA community was none other than Jeff Monson. He was always down, and I've always been a fan of his. And the crazy thing is, every time we tried to get Jeff out here, something really crazy would happen. Like when we had our big event and he was going to actually come out and probably play RZA or whatever, like he got into a car crash on the way to the airport. So he couldn't come. So then other years, different stuff would come up, and it was just crazy. We never were able to hook up. But anytime I called him, he would always hit me back. He was always cool. Him and my instructor, Gumby, from Heroes and OTM, were always cool. And so it was always crazy. We've had Halleck Gracie at our events before. Halleck's been a great supporter, man. I mean, I cannot say that. I mean, Halleck came. You know, when he came, he was before, I think he had done any MMA. You know what I'm saying? But we hooked up through Raka from Dilated Peoples because Raka was one of Shinon and Henner's students, and he studied under Halleck. So it was perfect. You know what I mean? So, you know, what's funny is I just got back from the World Chess Hall of Fame in St. Louis, and we're working on an event. And so what I would like to do right now is challenge any MMA fighter who thinks they can hang with RZA on the 64 squares to reach out to Adisa here. You know what I'm saying? Bishop at hiphopchessfederation.org. That's my email. And let's get you going with RZA, or we can find you another MC to play against, because we're going to do a big event with the World Chess Hall of Fame in St. Louis in a few months. And I would love it if MMA fighter could come out, because you know why? We're doing the event in St. Louis for the cause of nonviolence. We're doing the event in St. Louis because St. Louis has a horrible crime rate. They have a lot of crime and violence out there. And the World Chess Hall of Fame called and they said, hey, man, we want to talk to you because we'd like to see if you could help us do an event built around nonviolence. And I said, of course, but jiu-jitsu has to be a part of this. We have to teach people about how chess is connected to jiu-jitsu and how chess is connected to life. And they were like, sure, let's do it. So this is the perfect time. Anderson Silva, I know George St. Pierre, I know Rich Franklin plays. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of y'all play. So come on, let's do something cool for the kids. Let's build something hot. And it would be a real honor. It would be a real honor. But America needs MMA fighters to come out to not just our event, but other events like ours, to help inspire these kids, because they are, the leaders for so many young kids.
All right, well, Adisa, thank you so much for talking to BJPenn.com. What's your website again?
Anyone can learn about the organization at hiphopchessfederation.org. And then I'm always on Twitter at hiphopchess. And yeah, man, hit me up, reach out to me. My email is bishop at hiphopchessfederation.org. And I really want to say a lot of thanks to you. I want to give a shout out to my man BJ Penn. I don't see him as often as I'd like to, because he's always, leading the game. But much respect to BJ, JD, and the rest of the family. And Sean, man, it's a real honor to be on here with you today.